coaching staff, how challenging has this season been for you and your staff in terms of managing personalities and all the talent that you have?
I think it's just, part of coaching, and one of the things I like about coaching is it's a different challenge every day. I said this at the start, before game one, it wasn't as much about meshing talent and meshing personalities as it was really almost everybody on our team, with the exception of maybe one or two guys, had to take a lesser role than they once had. And none of them are, 38 years old. And so that's a challenge, and it's just something that, I thought our guys tried to do. It wasn't without human nature fighting back at times, but they've really put the good of the whole above everything else, and I appreciate them for that.
Coach, how's Kyrie doing from a health standpoint? We saw his hand was looked at, I think it was the first half of game 2. Saw a little bit again at shoot around. Is that something that's been brought to your attention?
It has not been discussed other than just that he got it hit and it was looked at, so it wasn't anything that was a major concern. Otherwise, they would have looked at it a lot closer, I'm guessing.
Brad, turnovers and bonus have not been as effective in this series yet so far. What has been your approach to defending them, and how do you think you've done in that regard?
Good question, Mark. We're only 2 games in, so let's not say when you unlock something. At the end of the day, we're playing hard. We have great respect for those guys. We know what those guys are capable of. We know what they do best, and we have to guard them as hard as we can. And I mean, we know how good they are, and that's the thing that you're always on red alert when you're playing guys like that. We expect at home, those guys to have good games, and certainly to be amped up and ready to go. Our guys have a great deal of respect for them.
I know you've probably been asked this often, but does coming back to the city give a little bit of a tinge of nostalgia, considering what you accomplished here and playing the Final Four?
Yeah, I don't really care about that as far as, I care about it. It was a huge, awesome time of my life, and I get to see other people in the stands tonight. I get to see, I saw Matt Howard's kid running around the hotel with Tony Dobbins, his little girl. They played together in France. Tony's on our staff, and those are the special ties, right? But it's also home. Like, I grew up here. These were my playoff experiences growing up, was coming to Pacers games, and so certainly it does. But I try to put that behind me and focus on the task at hand. And say the first time I came back, my head was spinning in 1,000 directions, and we only got beat by 50. And then ever since then, I decided I better just make it a work trip. I'm not sure I would have been able to do much anyways, but whatever.
Brad, as a road coach in Game 3, do you worry about matching the sense of urgency the home team is going to have in this building tonight?
I don't lose sleep over those things, but we know that you better, or else you'll lose. So it's as simple as that. If you don't play with great detail, great urgency, and you don't play your best game yet, you're going to lose.
Coach, last time your team was in this building, you guys had a really good game, came away with a pretty good size win. Is there anything you can take away from that experience going into this game, or is that just completely separate?
I'd say not near as much as games 1 and 2. Really 3 of the last 4 games we played against these guys have been just great as far as tight most of the game. Obviously, game 1 we pulled away a little bit, but it was a grind. And I think that the game 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago in Boston, that was 114 to 112, is probably a lot more indicative than the game that was here the next week of the way the series is going to be, the way the games are going to be.
Coach, at the start you talked about asking guys to take lesser roles and how most of the players on this team had to do so. Can you just speak to what the process has been like from a coaching perspective and how it has progressed throughout the season? Obviously, probably different now than.
I think the biggest thing is it's just an honest conversation you have that, hey, everybody is always going to evaluate their situation against their best situation. So if you're journalist, if you're an Eli Lilly, if you're a coach, whatever the case may be, and you had a higher role at some point in time, or you had something that you really loved to do and you really were passionate about it because your opportunities were bigger, and you're always going to compare everything to that. And so that's just part of it. And you just have to then figure out, okay, this is what I need to do for this team. And we all need to embrace it. And if we do that, then we have a chance to be good. We have still hopefully improving. That is the goal. But we're in a much better place because of the trials we had to go through. And, you know, I just thought we had to, you know, we probably were a little bit, you know, we weren't as good at the end of last year as we may have looked. And so it was good to go through those things in retrospect, and it's part of it. So we're still playing, we still have a chance to write a chapter, and we'll see what happens.
Brad, speaking of coming home, Michael Shrewsbury on your staff is from Indy. What's his role on your staff, and what are his contributions?
Yeah, I mean, he's been front of the bench assistant ever since we came. I've told this story many times when I learned that Butler was keeping the job in-house, which I thought would happen, and we weren't going to have any staff changes there, and those guys were all set with their situations. First two calls I made were to Mike Shrewsbury and LaValle Jordan to come with me, and LaValle stayed at Michigan, and Micah came, and I'm super thankful Micah did. He's made my life easier, and he adjusted the NBA way quicker than I did. He's a lot smarter than I am, and just as good of a friend and as good of a coach as you can be around.
Is he an X and O guy? Is that
He's really good, and he's a great communicator. Just knows how to get things communicated quickly, succinctly, and again, I thought his transition was smoother than mine.
Yeah, Coach, just on Al Horford, obviously was a little under the weather last game. Where is he now as far as that illness he was dealing with?
I think he's fine. I think he's fine. Turns out if you play 16 straight minutes, it cures all of those.
Thanks, sir.
Thanks.
Thank you, folks.